Hey, all my fantasy football friends. Welcome to the Multiple First channel. I'm Tony, Stash X on the Sleeper app, coming at you with another draft breakdown video. Today we're going to be looking at a superflex, tight end premium, three wide receiver start league where I was able to run my bread and butter strategy of trading back and acquiring multiple mid-round picks and multiple 2023 first-round picks. In this league, we walked away with about 6 of those 23 firsts, and we have a pretty competitive-looking team on the front end. We're going to jump into that real quick here. I just want to talk to you about the league first and foremost. So we have the Louisiana Sports League, which is a $50 buy, 2 years paid upfront league. So everyone's in for $100. It's a 12-teamer, full PPR with 6 points for passing touchdowns, and it's a tight end premium league with a 0.75 tight end premium as opposed to the normal half point. So a 3/4 of a point tight end premium bonus. Let's take a look at what that team looks like. This is it right here, Louisiana Sports League. I thought this really broke down extremely well. This whole thing went about as good as it possibly can. The whole strategy came together in a real efficient, real peak performance way, and that's why I wanted to bring it to you today. I wasn't forced to make a lot of difficult trades. I feel like I got some quality moves throughout the process, and we're going to take a look at some of those trades, and we're going to look at the draft board as it broke down. But as you can see here, we landed with Dak Prescott, Zach Wilson, and down here, Kenny Pickett as our three quarterbacks. If you watched my quarterback breakdown video, you should be striving to get 3 of the top 20 or so quarterbacks in terms of safety. I think we broke down, me and Greg, the rarity and the value of the quarterback position right now, and how there's just very limited security. So if you can get what amounts to 3 safe options in Dak, Zach, and Pickett, and when I say safe, I mean safe to start in the 2023 season. I'm feeling like all 3 of those guys are quality assets for 2023. You can't see some of my team, got my webcam in the way. So this is it right here. As we scroll down to the bottom of the team, you're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 first-round picks we were able to hit in this league. We made 5 moves in trade backs, and we made 1 trade up. So I was involved in 6 trades in this draft, and only 12 total trades were made. I have all 12 trades ready to be looked at and broken down. But as you can see, we're very wide receiver heavy with Juju and Bateman, Devonta Smith, Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. We also have some startable assets at wide receiver on our bench. Ayuk, Lazard, Jefferson, Gabe Davis, a lot of startable wideouts. And I only have 2 tight ends rostered on my team right now in Gerald Everett and his backup Donald Parham. Not really sweating tight end. The waiver wire is just so juiced at tight end that I don't think you have to worry about that. I actually had OJ Howard, but I cut him just to make this roster legal for the video. I wanted to bring you something that was roster legal because I was over a couple spots, due to my trade backs throughout the process. But I just want to talk about the strategy as a whole, and what you should be looking to do. I got some bullet points here I put down in my notes, and so in general, quarterback security is going to be the biggest deal. So we want to be able to approach the 2023 draft with not needing a quarterback. I know there's a lot of good quality QBs coming out, the Strouds and the Youngs and the Richardsons and the Van Dykes, and the list goes on and on. But what you want to do is not have to need those guys. So should you choose to take one, you can take one at a value spot that's at a luxury, and you can also leverage the trade of that pick away to someone on draft day. So we want to be loaded with firsts, which we are, and also loaded with quarterbacks. So I have 3 safe quarterbacks, and then I have 2 interesting guys that I got at value spots in Malik Willis and Baker Mayfield, dudes that I think are going to be starters in the league, or the price was right on them in this draft process. So a big thing. So that's the first major note, is stay safe at quarterback. The second thing to note is you want to acquire 23 firsts And you're going to do that by making 2-for-1 type deals, 2-for-1, 3-for-1, 4-for-2 type deals. And we're going to start looking at some of these trades. You're going to, move back a few rounds in the draft, acquire 23 first, and you should be able to pull off that maneuver, anywhere from 3 to 6 times in your draft process. I have several leagues where I have 7 or 8 23 first round picks, and we still are fielding a moderately competitive team. It's not a championship contender, I think, but a team I think could make the playoffs if something breaks the right way at the running back position. But yeah, you also want to be amassing picks in the middle rounds of the draft. That's where all the wide receivers go. So, it's round 6 through 9. So you trade back from your second, you trade back from your first, you trade back from your third. You're getting a big, cachet of selections in round 6 through 9. 6, 7, 8, 9. And, you just stack up receivers in that area. And that's what we did in this draft, and that's why we're breaking it down here today. But let's take a look at the draft board before we get into those moves. This is it right here. We got the 105 seat in the role for draft position. Very happy with that. This is a combined kickers and rookies, both in the draft process. The commissioner in this league is my boy Lightly Chilled. I've mentioned him on the channel before. He's a really good commissioner, cool dude, very active player, and he keeps things in line. He keeps his draft moving. He makes sure everyone's paid. When people are trading off picks from 23, 24, 25, he's making sure they're paid in those years. I really like playing in leagues with Lightly Chilled. I think he's one of the best commissioners on the Sleeper app. Truly, I do. But some other friends in this league, people I've played with before, guys like the Quack, GN, Scuber, I think I'm in a couple leagues with. So names you may have seen before on my channel. Charlie McCaff, I play in a league with as well. But yeah, this draft comes and breaks down. It's pretty standard with Allen, Mahomes, Herbert, Burrow, Taylor. That's kind of your top 5 elite that you see in every draft process. The very first trade that was made here was made between Das Boot and Scuber. You're going to see the 3 and the 4 swapped. Boot gets the 210, the 410, the 610, and he sends his 2, 4, and 6, and he sends a 10th away. So this trade, it looks fairly even to me. I mean, the 1s are swapped, the 2s are swapped, the 4s are swapped, the 6 are swaps. And then Boot has to send his 10th away because he's moving up from 4 to 3 early on. I like Scuber's side in this a little better. Give me the 5 picks as opposed to the 4 picks. Give me that extra 10th, and I'll go down 1 slot, 4 separate times here or whatever's going on. So I definitely want that 10th round pick to do it. But Boot is going up there to get Herbert. Can't blame him. Herbert's the man. And then, Scuber's a smart guy. He's saying, hey, Burrow's fine. Plus, I get that extra 10th. I'm down for it. So I really like that for him. Next, we're going to take a look at Stosh's first trade of my 6 I made. So I trade away the 105 pick. That's Jonathan Taylor. And I trade that to ePress 02. I send the 105 in my 23 third. And I acquire the 302, the 502, the 1102, and a 2023 first round pick. So this is just a smash home run for me. This is about the maximum amount of juice that you're going to get for a top 5 pick. This is who's coming up? ePress. Yeah, he wants to pair Taylor with Mahomes. That's what he's trying to do here. For my side, I love trading back and getting 3 vet picks in exchange for my 1 vet pick. That is just awesome. I find that it's really easy to complete deals with the guys that are in the first 3 or 4 seats of the draft because they already going to have an elite quarterback and they're going to want to complement that player with another top 10 type player, either a second elite quarterback or a Taylor or a Chase. And in general, these guys in the first 4 seats they have more value in their total column. They're on all their picks combined than anyone else in the league. The top 4 guys are in the driver's seat of any draft process that's not using a 3rd round reversal. And so they feel these riches, and quite often they're willing to trade some of those riches away. And I'm there to pick that up if I can do it. So this was a flyer trade I sent out. We didn't negotiate this in chat at all. What I'll do at the start of every draft is I will send out an offer of, especially when I have a top 5 pick, but just in general, I'll send out an offer on my first round pick, a flyer trade to all 11 members of the league, where I will send my first round pick for their third, their fifth, and their 23 first, or something similar to that. Occasionally, I'll bump the fifth down to a sixth, but depending on where my pick is, if it's like the 111 or 110, then I can't ask for this 3-5 combo usually. Sometimes I'll get a third and a seventh, but it's very, very key that you send out 11 flyers, 11 flyer deals with no negotiation behind them to everyone in your league. You want their third round pick. It's huge to get an extra third. You want their 23 first, and then you want another vet pick in there. You're getting a 2-for-1 on vets, the 3-5, and then you're getting the 23 first. And then I get his 11th also, and I have to send him a 23 third back. So the big reason we include the 23 third in the deal is because when something like this shows up in your inbox, as a 4-for-1, it's really hard to hit accept on it. Any manager is going to struggle to just give away 4 assets for 1 asset in Dynasty Fantasy Football. That's just hard to do. So this makes the trade much more tangible. Much more palpable, much more easy to swallow for the other manager, because he's seeing that he's at least it's a 4-for-2 as opposed to a 4-for-1, which is about worlds difference in terms of total asset exchange. I get the 11th thrown in there. That's just juice that I'm asking for, and I get it. This trade's already pretty good for me as just a 3-5 and a 1, but I'm happy to be able to get an 11th. Normally, when I'm trading off a top 5 pick, I'll try to get that third vet pick in there, that 10th, 11th, 12th round pick, and oftentimes you get it. On ePress's side, this is something when he receives a trade like this in his inbox that we didn't discuss at all, he knows that I'm sending these trades out to everyone. I'm sending these deals to every single person in the league, and he knows that if he doesn't hit accept on it or counter me, someone else will. So that's a bit of the pressure on him. He sees Jonathan Taylor on the board. I put a trade in his inbox that, hey, if you hit accept on this, you can come get JT. And the dude makes a move on that, and I don't blame him one bit. So that's me leveraging him, the fact that his desire to be competitive and be huge. That's me leveraging him having so much extra juice as a top 4 selection and sucking some of that off for myself. But this sets you up. You always got to get that extra third. If you can get that extra third in your initial deal, that's right where you want to be. That's going to set you up for big success for the whole rest of the draft. So this is about as good as it gets and set the stage for what was a very productive draft process. So the next deal that was made here is also a stash trade. This is what I like to call a bread and butter move. This is another bread and butter move I make with Das Boot. I trade away my 302 that I acquired from ePress for his 704 and his 23 first. So the reason we call this a bread and butter deal is because I'm just going down 4 rounds, easy 4-round slide, and I pick up a 23 first. This is right where I want to be. This is the Stash X special coming at you, the multiple first channel special coming at you. I don't want to make 2-for-2 deals. I want to get more total assets, and I want to acquire 23 first as part of that package. That is what we are trying to do. This isn't exactly perfect, because I made a small error. I'm sitting here holding this 302 selection, and I already have Dak from the second round. And I could have held on to this pick, probably made a trade off my 3-5, gotten a really similar deal, still went from 3 to 7th round, and got the 23 first, and I could have stayed here and took Lawrence. So Trevor Lawrence goes to the 3-4. He doesn't quite make it to me, and I am very, very sad that I miss out on Trevor Lawrence. The Quack actually jumps up and snags T-Law from me in the trade we're about to look at, and he did this, and I was so annoyed because he got a very friendly trade, a nice 2-for-2 swap to go up and take Lawrence. I've drafted with Quack a few times this season. He knows I'm going to be sitting here waiting on Trevor, and I want to take a look at that deal that the Quack makes to go and jump up in front of me. So this is it right here. This is Quack giving up his 308 to go up to the 304. He's moving up 4 slots, and the price he's paying to do that is his 4th rounder is going down 5 slots, and his 12th rounder is going down 4 slots. It's a 3-for-3 deal that is as friendly as it gets. If you're trying to trade up in a draft, you're looking to do something like this where you don't lose out on total assets, and all you do is bump a couple of your other picks back a little bit, like half a round, and then you get to bump your main pick up. So he knew what he was doing. He went up there and sniped me, and I knew the mistake I made when I traded this 3.2 away. I figured Lawrence wasn't going to make it back to me after I did that. I didn't fully, consider the consequences of my actions in moving that 3.2, but you know, it's fine. Not every draft is going to go picture perfect. In fact, none of them ever will go picture perfect. You have to be willing to pivot. You have to be willing to adjust on the fly and continue to make moves and be open-minded. But I'm just looking at the way this thing broke down. The clock takes Kyle Pitts at the 1.8 up here, and that's where I'm saying with the 1.75 as a tight end premium, I feel like a lot of people in this draft really overvalue tight ends. Whether it's 1.5 or 1 3/4 points tight end premium, it's really not that big of a deal difference. In a typical tight end premium league, Pitts goes in like this corner area, usually like 10, 11 to like the 15th, 16th pick. This is usually where Pitts lands. And to take Pitts as the first pass catcher off the board ahead of Jefferson and Chase is questionable to my mind. I wouldn't do that. I'd rather have one of these receivers. The extra quarter of a point for a tight end premium doesn't do anything for me. It's also a single tight end start league, as you'll see right here. Only one tight end start, so like just plug a guy in. It's fine. You don't have to be spending this much on Kyle Pitts. So, but Pitts goes at 8. Jamar Chase, Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson, Lance, Lamb, Watson. Watson, I feel like he's fallen in about this area in most drafts. Yeah. Cooper Kupp, Najee, great value on Najee at 2.4. Clock doubles down on his tight end play and takes Mark Andrews here at 2.5. Couple running backs go. Somehow Dak Prescott makes it to me at the 2.8, and I'm just thrilled. I'm thrilled I'm able to get my first quarterback. I move off of 3 of my first 4 round picks. That's exactly what you want to be doing with this strategy. And you want to keep 1 or 2 of your early picks in order to land that premium quarterback. Russ goes at the very next selection. And then what we talked about happens on the corner. DeAndre Swift goes to the 212. This is about as low as I've seen him. That's crazy he's going so low. I'd rather have DeAndre Swift than, all 4 of these tailbacks that went ahead of him. Javonte, McCaffrey, Eckler, and Harris. Give me DeAndre Swift as the second running back in Dynasty right now, please. I don't draft running backs in the top 10 rounds, but that's who I would take. And I think that's a good segue to another point I wanted to make off my notes, which is in general, you should be fading the running back if you're trying to do what I'm talking about here and acquire a lot of first round picks. Running backs taken in the top 10 rounds have a lot of risk, and their lack of longevity hurts this build that we're going for. The RB class right now of veterans in the NFL skews very old, which is why the strategy I'm proposing really works so well right now in this moment of time. This offseason is where you want to be doing what I'm talking about, because you don't want these running backs. I mean, Zeke, Chubb, Eckler and McCaffrey and Monty and Dobbins and Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley, Cordell Patterson, Kareem Hunt. Like, you don't want these guys on your dynasty team, all right? Like, they're going to score. Derrick Henry, I keep going. Mixon and Kamara, like, they're so close to the ends of their careers. All of them are. Like, so many of them are on their second contract. So many of them are at that 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 touch mark in their career, which is when running backs fall off a cliff. And yeah, you'll get some productivity out of them now for this season, probably. But there's no longevity here with any of these tailbacks, and they're all incredibly risky in that regard. There is not any running back in the first 9 rounds that I would actually draft at their current, sleeper ADP. Not a single one. I would rather have a different player or a trade out in that spot every single time. I mean, Swift is getting to a point over here where I'd consider drafting him. I maybe would take DeAndre Swift in like the middle of the third, and like I said, I think he's the second best running back in Dynasty right now. I wouldn't take Najee Harris in the first 2 rounds. I would not take Joe Mixon in the first 3 or 4 rounds. I would take Kenneth Walker at like the late 6th into the 7th round, and I love Kenneth Walker. Saquon Barkley, we took him in our other draft video I did with Greg in the late 4th. It's a guy I'm okay with, but even still, For my personal leagues that I'm not running with Greg, I'm not messing with any of these greens that you see out here on Sleeper. Um, you got to think your long-term running backs are going to come in the form of these 23 first-round picks you're acquiring. All right, I'll read you some names real quick. Brian Robinson, Sean Tucker, Tank Bigsby, Jahmyr Gibbs, Zach Evans, Devon Achane, Deuce Vaughn. Just saying those names so you can hear them if you never had before. That's 7 tailbacks that are probably going to be top 60, top 100 selections in next year's draft. And several of those guys, probably 3 of those guys, are going to be first round picks in next year's draft. Next year's rookie first round in a superflex draft, 1 through 12, will almost all be first round picks from the real NFL draft. Maybe a high second round tailback sneaks in there. But next year's class is loaded. It's loaded at tailback. So all we want to do is build a nice nest, okay? A nice nest of players on our team and acquire a lot of first round picks to go and snatch up these RBs next season as rookies and put them in our nest and become a dominant long-term team. And that's what we did here. We built a beautiful nest for our players. Anyway, back to the trades. As you can see, we did the bread and butter deal where we moved from 3 to 7. We get the 23 first. If I could have this deal back, I wouldn't have made it. I would have taken Lawrence and then looked for a similar deal to this off my 3.5. But it is what it is. We're going to see here, this is a post-mortem trade made on the 211, I believe. There's a 211 for the 309, 604, and 909. So I love ePress's side in this. He's going down 1 round, and he's getting a 6th and a 9th. And Charlie's going up there to get A.J. Brown, which I like A.J. Brown, but this is just a pretty heavy overpay, in my opinion, Charlie, to go up there and get him. The 6th, and he gets back in the 9th. He makes another deal later on. But to get off of your late 3rd, which could have been T. Higgins or Jalen Waddle, or a quarterback, and give up a DJ Moore type, and give up one of these 9th round players like a Dotson or a Clyde, or a James Cook, and miss out. That's sketch to me, I think. But hey, every manager does what they think is best. Moving on, so when I miss out on Trevor Lawrence, I look for a similar deal to what I made before, where I'm hoping to get a 7th for a 23 first, and I'm hoping to get a 7th and 23 first for my 305, which is a deal we ultimately find. As soon as Lawrence went, I'm very sad. I'm sitting here it happened in my face live. I was sitting in the draft room when he came off the board, and I was joking in chat with Quack about how he took Lawrence from me. And so I just got to work, man. I just got to work, and I started sending out trades. I sent out a trade to every single person in the league. I sent out my 305 for their 23 first and a 7th round pick, and I got a hit on that type of deal. I'm very satisfied. I was able to go down to the 7.1 here and get the 23 first. So when you look at that at face value, at post value, dude come up here and took Waller. So Darren Waller or Rashod Bateman and a 23 first. Who do you got in a 3/4 tight end premium league? Give me Bateman. I might want Bateman over Waller straight up, to be honest with you, and then I get a 23 first on top of it. It's absolutely delightful. I'm very, very happy to make a move like that. Moving on. So we see another bread and butter type deal as the 4th round wraps around back to me. I get 23 first plus a 10th for my 4th round pick. So trade down 4, 5, 6 rounds, trading 6 rounds here, and get the 23 first. This is right where I want to be. 4th round pick is Dalvin Cook. That's who Tilton goes up there to get, and I get from his 10th. Tilton 10th. Looks like I moved that pick away later on. I did. But Miles Sanders goes in that slot. We could have had a Claypool or a Gabe Davis, a David Bell, Tony Pollard. So who would you rather have, Dalvin Cook or, Tony Pollard in a 23 first? Give me Pollard in the pick every single time. That's what I'd rather have. Give me Gabe Davis in the pick every single time. Because that 23 first is going to be a tailback or some stud player that in about 18 months' time is going to be worth more than Dalvin Cook. It's going to be someone going to be going in the top 3 or 4 rounds. And that's even if the pick lands poorly. You can still expect that to be the case. All right, let's keep breaking them down. So I'm gonna move my webcam back over here so you can see him better. Sorry if that was blocking you along the way. Next trade that's made is another Stosh deal. I trade my 502 for the 10.1 and 23 first. Really similar. I actually get better value than I did on this one. But this is just hungry boys. These are hungry boys wanting to go up there and get players, man. They want to be competitive. GN, he didn't make any deals so far. The 5th round's coming down. He's only got Trey Lance on his team. He's seeing the quarterback start to dry up, and he's thinking, hey, I can move my first. All I have to do is give up my 10th, and I can get a second quarterback, make me feel a lot safer there. Can't blame him at all for making a move like that. I happily trade down. This is the 5th that I got from ePress. And I go down here to 10.1 where I ultimately take Clyde Helaire as my first running back. And you can see I've moved off of 2 of the picks I got from ePress, in the Taylor deal. So my Taylor deal becomes, Jonathan Taylor in exchange for 3 2023 first round picks plus a 9th and a 10th. Is that correct? No, my 3.2 move for a 7. Yeah. It's 3 2023 first round picks plus an 11th rounder. Okay, so those 4 assets. Plus I also get what was it for Jerry Jeudy, who came from this pick, and Clyde Helaire. So what would you rather have, Taylor and a 23 third, or 3 23 firsts, an 11th round pick, Jerry Jeudy, and Clyde Helaire? I mean, I want the package side of that every single time. I can't think anyone out there who wouldn't want the package side. I mean, 3 23 first round picks. That's what Taylor's worth straight up, and then I get a whole mess of extras. That's beautiful. That's right where I want to be. Here we see ePress. Like I said, he gets a deal back. He gets back in the 9th round, or he gets back. He sends off his 9th round pick. He picks up a 13 and a 14. This is a pretty square deal. I like this as a 2-for-1. Which side do I like more? I don't know. I might want the 9th. It's hard to say. I like this trade though. Very very square deal here. Moving forward, we got this is your boy Stosh trading up, as you can see here. So we're going to talk about this one. I send the 1007 and the 1102 away, and I get the 1304 and the 904. So this is a 2-for-2 deal that I'm trading up, and I am moving my 10th up a round, and I'm moving my 11th down 2 rounds to pay for that. This is as beautiful as a trade up as you're going to see for the most part. So what I'm trying to do here is I see as this 9th round, the end of the 8th, the beginning of the 9th is starting to break down. Okay, and these wide receivers are starting to dry up, and you can follow it from really from where my 7th round pick is. Bateman, Godwin, Jeudy, Devonta, Elijah Moore, Chris Olave. We'll see. I gotta get my big head out of the way again. There we go. But you'll see these wide receivers are starting to dry up. Sky Moore, Christian Watson, Cortland Sutton, Mike Williams. When you see guys like Mike Williams and Darnell Mooney going, that's when it's you're starting to get into sketchier receiver options. Jameis Winston gone. That's starting to be the last of the quarterbacks are going. And I can tell that I want to get my 10 up higher into this wide receiver area, so I can steal, Ayuk was my target. I definitely wanted a couple of, Pickens, Ayuk, Juju, as this was, and Mooney. I wanted 2 of these guys. I didn't have this 9.4, so I make a move with Das Boot to go get up there, and my 11th goes down into the 13th. That's a move I'm very comfortable with. What was the 11th round? It was my 1102, right? Yeah. Because these players, as you get down to the end of the 11th, as the 11th, 12th, 13th, this is a much more, flatter area, much more homogenous area, versus these receivers. I wanted another bite out of that apple of good, talented receiver. So I go and take Brandon Ayuk, get it with Juju, make a move upwards. Yeah, I hope you guys are following me there. I don't know how well explaining that I did. But basically, I wanted to get another piece of that wide receiver tier before it all went. But as you can see from, about the 9th round starting to dry up into the 10th, like this draft went perfectly how I preach to my viewers to do it. Okay, we're missing some of our early picks. We got a bunch of middle picks in exchange and a bunch of 23 firsts for making those maneuvers. We took safe quarterbacks. As long as there was safe quarterbacks on the board, I took one. Okay, every single time. I took Dak. I took Zach Wilson in the 5th. I take Kenny Pickett at the 6.8. That's 3 safe QBs. That's where you want to be. If any of the top 15 or 20 safe quarterbacks are on the board, take them. Don't take a skill position instead, okay? Don't take Derrick Henry ahead of Aaron Rodgers. Stop doing that. Don't take, Jalen Waddle ahead of Justin Fields. I think that's silly. I wouldn't do that. I want the safe quarterback option. Don't take Breece Hall ahead of Trevor Lawrence. That is silly. Don't do that. You want Trevor Lawrence on your dynasty team. Don't take Austin Eckler or Christian McCaffrey ahead of Trevor Lawrence and Russell Wilson. These are bad decisions if you're doing this. You want to get one, two, three solid QBs, and maybe even a 4th or 5th if the rest of the league is still fading them, because those are the most valuable assets. I would have taken more QBs. I honestly considered Brady here with this stretch of 7s, but I just wanted to fill out on receivers. There's a version of me in the past that would have taken Brady with one of these picks, for certainly. I don't think he's necessarily cooked going into next season. I think Brady could play for a 23rd year or whatever it is. So this is another 2-for-2 deal. Das Boot, he sent in his 11 and 12. He's getting a 10 and a 13. Pretty chill maneuvers there. Nothing really to break down. And then the final trade of the draft, E-Press sends off his 19th, and he gets a 22, round 22, 12th round, the 12th pick in the 22nd round, and the 23 third for moving down from his 19th. So he takes about a 4-round dip and picks up a 23 third. Seems about fair. I don't know. This 19 is probably worth the 23 third straight up, but it doesn't really matter when you're getting that low in the draft. Yeah, I'm gonna review my notes here. I just want to talk about some other stuff real quick, and we'll put the team on the screen for you guys to take a look at. I think this team landed very well. I think this team landed, in a bread and butter position, really just as good as it could have landed. Actually, I wanted to look at the dynasty ranker for it, so I'm going to bring that up real quick. You can kind of see where we're at with that. But this is me on dynastyranker.com. This is for the Louisiana League. And total team value, this is what you want to be looking at right here. I'm at 114K. That's with all my draft picks and players all added up together. I'm 20,000 advantage in total team value over the number 2 guy. These value points are taken from keeptradecut.com if you're not familiar with the website. And what you're going to see here is I'm 20,000 ahead of the number 2 seed. The number 2 guy and the number 12 guy in terms of total value are only 15, 16,000 apart. So there's a greater gap between me and everyone else than there is between the gap from 2 to 12. And that's because I was able to get quality trade backs. I was able to stack up these 23 firsts, which are just all worth a lot. And I just piled on receivers. This went swimmingly. This went exactly how I wanted it to go. This is where you want to be when your draft ends if you're running the multiple first strategy. Number 1 quarterbacks, 3 safe quarterbacks. Number one at wide receiver. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus, fantasy relevant young wide receivers. My oldest guy here is Cortland Sutton at 26 years old. Juju's 25 years old. Like every single one of these guys has a pretty decent future in the NFL. All of my receivers. I mean, I'm not naive enough to think every single one of them is a home run. Some of these guys could flake. Jeudy could flake. Gabe Davis could flake. Alec Pierce could become a nothing. Juju could totally flake and not even be a starter for the Chiefs by the end of the season, depending on what he is. But there's a lot going on here. There's enough at receiver where I have going to take a big carryover into next year, no matter what happens. And then we fade the running back position and we fade the tight end position, because the tight end doesn't matter when you're starting a single tight end. I get Gerald Everett in the the 17th round. That's Justin Herbert's starting tight end. That's incredible value. And there's plenty of startable tight end assets down here. I mean, Austin Hooper, Hayden Hurst, Mo Alley Cox, Bellinger, Cameron Brate goes way down here in the 24th round. This is pre-Gronk announcement. But, like, that's, Noah Fant in the 12th, Jelani Woods, Tyler Higbee, the 14-11, David Njoku. Like, you don't, even with a high tight end bonus, you do not have to draft a tight end in the first 10, 11, 12 rounds. You just don't. My forever tight end on this team is probably going to be Michael Mayer, kid coming out next year from Notre Dame. If you're not familiar with him, I recommend you look him up. But yeah, just a couple of notes I wanted to read off. A big thing is you want to be patient and be stingy with your deals, and you want to be transparent. Mostly we're going to be losing with this team. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say we're tanking. I am trying to win games. I'm not tanking, actively tanking. I'm going to hopefully make the playoffs with this team if possible. I'm going to push for that. I'm going to start my best lineup every single week. But, like, I am willing to lose, though. I'm willing to not be an outright championship contender or compete for that role. And with that in mind, being willing to take that back seat, you can leverage that to your opponents, and that's why I'm able to do what I do here. Is because that willingness to lose games is so incredibly valuable in trade and negotiation. Everyone thinks out there that their 23 first is going to be late. Everyone thinks they're going to be, a top 4 team, a top 2 team, a champion. So they think they're going to be able to move their 23 and go get that key player that makes them a title contender. And you got to be willing to eat that up. I mean, I have 5 extra 23s. Not all of these are going to be playoff teams. 2 or 3 of these are going to, I would imagine, are going to be from non-playoff teams. They're going to be super juice picks. But when you enter negotiations, when you start sending out flyers, I think it's important to know your floor when you're talking to people out there. You want to be able to know in your mind when a negotiation stops. When you're talking about trading your 302 for their 7th and 23 first, and they come back to you, and it's an early 7th you're looking at, and they come back to you and offer an early 9th or a late 10th. You got to be able to say no to that and walk away from the deal and be prepared to pick a player and almost certainly pick a quarterback. Like, you don't want to just blindly pursue these 23 firsts. It is good to get them, but I would not trade my early 3rd round startup pick for a 10th round pick and a 23 first. I wouldn't do that. I would rather just have a player from that area. So, when you're talking about trading away your 6th and someone offers you, their 18th and a 23 first for your 6th, I don't think I'd take a deal like that. I would rather take a player in the 6th round, take a guy like a Garrett Wilson or a Michael Pittman or, McLaurin or something like that. If that person is not willing to at least push that vet pick up into like the 12th round for me, then I'm probably not going to work with them. And it's important to just know your floor. When you're sending out flyers, okay, most often people are going to decline them and they're not going to counter you. Okay, they're just going to say, no, I'm not interested. They're not going to DM you. They're just going to hit decline on your trades, and that's fine. You want to counter yourself. If you're talking about your early 3rd round pick, you send out that for their 6th and 23 first, and they hit decline on it. Okay, then you send it back to them for their 7th and 23 first, and they hit decline on that. You send it back to them again for their 8th and 23 first, and then they hit decline on that. And then you're probably done. And then you're not sending them a 9th and 23 first, because that's your floor. Okay, and if they declined you all the way down to your floor, then that's it. And if you feel the need to DM people about that and say, hey, I can't do any better, are you interested at all? Do that, but just be transparent and be kind. All right, it's important to be kind to your league mates, to not try to say, hey, this is a great deal, you should take it, you're silly, you're stupid. Don't insult anyone, don't be rude. You're trying to build relationships with people, and be able to work with them again, because you're going to be in leagues with these guys for a long time. Yeah. Pay the tax. That's my last note. When you're trading someone for their 23 first, what you're essentially saying is you're allowing them to draft a player off your team with their future pick right now. You're letting them have their 23 draft or their 24 draft here today. And to move up in time, to fast forward and step forward through time like that, has a price. It has a tax, and you need to charge the tax, okay? And that same tax applies when you're trading away quarterbacks or picks where people can go get a quarterback. That has tax, and you need to be charging people tax. And if they're not paying the tax, then you don't work with them. As simple as that, and you take a player. Um, Drafts don't usually go this well. I wanted to showcase this one because I thought it did go exceptionally well. Um, you know, we're looking at 40 minutes. I hope you learned something today, guys. If you have any questions about the process, hit me up, STOSHX on Sleeper. Thanks for tuning in. Hit like, hit subscribe, leave me a comment, talk to me. If you want advice about any trades, anything like that, let me know. The channel is looking for more help. I'm looking for someone to be a graphic designer type that I can bring in and help do different stuff with graphics and images and thumbnails and all that good stuff. So if that interests you, if you want to be a part of this thing that we're growing here, me and Greg and the other people that work with me, hit me up. It's not all behind the scenes work. If you want to get on here and talk about trades or whatever, we can do that. But I'm just looking for someone who wants to get involved in this thing and wants to grow with me because we're going to keep doing it here on the Multiple First channel. Thank you so much for giving me your time, for giving me your attention tonight and staying with me. And just have a wonderful night. All my first round picks out there.